Good morning, Om
Good,
Shanti,
good
and greeting of
morning.
peace to all. And good morning to Denise.
Good morning,
Um,
Erko.
yeah, today is a Wednesday and another day for presenting our program, Rise and Shine. And today we have a guest, not really a guest, host, Denise Lawrence. And she is been many times in this country, and she's been in our programs many. Denise is senior student and the teacher of Brahma Kumaris Raja Yoga, and for the past 48 years. So I was trying to work it out what year was that, somewhere in 70s. So what I know Denise for quite a number of years, and I know she's very passionate of sharing her wisdom, sharing her experience with others. She is conducting classes, recording videos, and she's author and publisher of some books which I read. And I know Denise travels a lot. She will tell us which country she is now in. And what does she do in the traveling? Of course, she shares, as I already mentioned, her wisdom, her experience for those who are spiritually thirsty in many different ways. And she also has a YouTube channel. Denise, welcome, and let's start this program with one question, one very simple question. What does these words mean to you? Our theme for the month is all the month, immunity of the soul. What does these words mean to you?
Well, it's very interesting because people are concerned, excuse me, people are very concerned about COVID, and so they're trying to get immunity to that, or vaccinated or anti-vaccination or whatever. And sorry, it creates a sort of fear in people that maybe I will get sick, maybe I will die, so I have to be protected. So immunity, in a sense, means protection. And for the soul, well, that's not the same as the body, but the soul and the body are together, working together all the time. So the soul has to do with the mind, your feelings, your heart, your sense of self. And in life, the soul itself gets confronted, hit, damaged, assaulted, betrayed, abandoned. So many things happen which you have difficulty managing. So I think, to me, immunity of the soul is where you have accumulated spiritual power, which is particularly to enable you to handle the different types of onslaughts in relationships, in life, in the professional arena, in the wider community, so that you are not fazed by it, and you hold on to your inner peace and happiness regardless of what's going on outside. To me, it's something like that. And you don't mind what people do against you, because so what, you know? Like that.
Thank you. So I'm also a student. I also study, but I find it difficult. A question what I would pose to you. Now, I understand everything, but how would you put that into practice? How can I that really I have that power that I know something is coming, that's happening there on so many things. So how would maybe some easy method?
Well, I think one of the problems is a lot of people who study spirituality, they do it theoretically. And so that you create a difference. You know, when I'm sitting in meditation, then I'm peaceful. When I'm not sitting in meditation, I'm back to what I was before. When I'm sitting in the class, I'm studying, I'm aware of everything. And as soon as you come out of the class, you're back to how you were before. So that's a lot of people probably don't do it consciously, but definitely it is like that. So the key is to be able to bring it into your everyday life. And what that means is you have to practice what you are learning all the time. And so our time when we're not actually sitting in meditation and we're not actually sitting studying or reading, whatever, you're in situations and you are in the laboratory of the practical test. So all the time you have to be watching yourself. And you know how in many places there are CCTVs. And I think one good little easy method is to set your mobile phone or some camera, just set it where you are and let it record you as you move around your daily life, maybe in your living room when you're interacting with people, or in your office where you're also interacting with people, and then take a look at it. At the end of the day, you know, they say the camera never lies. And I think that people who are not used to looking at their video images just don't realize how they look to an observer, because they will see themselves through the lens of their idea about themselves, which may be pretty different from the reality about themselves. And in spiritual practice, we hear a lot about practicing to be the detached observer, and I think people don't really know what that means. You know, you use language of spiritual words without really going into the depth of what it means. And so together with observing yourself, you also have to ask yourself that when you are using spiritual phrases, is it true? I mean, the phrase itself is true, but if you say, I am a peaceful soul, well, are you? You know, or not. Mostly people are theoretically, but not practically. So it's all to do with bringing the difference between what you know and what you are closer and closer together. And that happens when you are attentive in day-to-day, moment-by-moment situations.
Thank you. I think I gathered something, at least for now. I'll try to keep it in mind. And you just mentioned word which is better sounds for some when you tell him become the detached observer. I find a lot of people do react, and me too sometimes. So could you just a little bit more explain us a little bit how really I can become detached? So seeing in front of me a person with awkward personality and something that can really disturb me, and at that time I should be the detached observer. So a little bit about that. How can I really put it into practice? So be practically that.
Well, I think what you said was pretty interesting, that when you become a detached observer, other people react. Actually, if you're really a detached observer, they won't even know that you're a detached observer. But what they will feel is that they are not able to manipulate you because you are not open for that. That's really what a detached observer is. So you are very much with yourself, and you have boundaries around your being. These are subtle, energetic boundaries. So there you are in a situation, and you are in charge of yourself in that situation. And whatever the situation is fine by you. So you don't have to do anything to let the other people know that you're being a detached observer. So I think that if you're doing that, it means you're attached. And you think you're detached, but you're more like dissociated, and they will feel something which will make them react. People generally take spiritual concepts in a physical way, and this is why it doesn't work too well. So it really needs to be thought about, and you have to go into the depth of what exactly it means to be in the consciousness of yourself as a soul, because it's very, very subtle. And when people react, it's pretty much a sign that what you're doing is some sort of affectation, which irritates people. And there are many who are experimenting with practicing spirituality, and they're just still very physical about it. A lot of times people don't make a distinction between being dissociated and being detached. So another sign of attachment is that you are under the influence of circumstances and the people. And so they can cause you to feel what they want you to feel and behave the way they are manipulating you to behave. And so all this is attachment. But when you're detached, you're in your power. Now, this is actually a pretty high stage. A lot of people, they say, oh, well, this is called Easy Raj Yoga, therefore it must be easy, therefore I don't have to really make much effort to figure it out. But that's not really what it is. This word easy in Hindi is sahaj, and sahaj does mean easy, but not in this case. Sahaj means in the context of people. And to be in your power and remain under your own influence and connected with the source while interacting with people, that's very subtle. That's not easy at all, because people are so glued to excuse me, people are so glued to their sense perceptions. And detached observer means that you are pulling yourself back from sense perception and observing everything in a dispassionate way. I think the word dispassionate may be perhaps more helpful than the word detached.
Thank you, Denise. I think I have gathered it, but still, beside the practice, world has become quite a place. Should I use word peaceless? Could use word dangerous at this time now. So the practice of immunity, well, as you already mentioned, that's one of the touched. And how can one protect the self from all types, even, well, fear is usually something you think it might happen or is really happening. So, yeah, my question would be how to protect self that I don't have that fear of danger, will something happen there or something happen in front of me. I think that's also connected with the immunity of the soul.
Yes, I think you're right. And usually this fear is preceded by the word what if? What if this happens and what if that happens? And I think it's a social situation, it's connected with socialization because it starts with parents being afraid that something or other will happen to their children. And this is because they're attached to their children. And then they create that fear in the children and think that by doing that they will protect them. But actually, it's completely, it's going to backfire because it's going to diminish a person's ability to handle themselves in dangerous situations. So I think that the whole system of parenting has to be rethought. And, uh, fear is not a weakness, it's not a vice. Fear is a message that comes in your mind to let you know, okay, there's danger here, and what you have to do is be attentive and courageous. And so it's like pain, if you put your finger on something that's too hot, you'll get pain, which means remove your finger immediately. These are messages that tell you, pay attention and be aware so that you keep yourself in safety in circumstances which require you to be attentive. And if you are properly aware, and you know how to look after yourself in dangerous situations, then you're using fear to your advantage rather than letting it diminish your ability to function in a dangerous situation. So you have to know how to handle yourself in social situations where people may be trying to manipulate you or diminish you or wind you around their little fingers. People have all kinds of arts to bring you under their control. And so you need to develop the art to not get under their control and keep yourself free and independent. And if you happen to be, walking down a street where people are shooting bullets at each other, you may not want to walk right there, or at least have some sort of bulletproof vest and understand what the circumstances are and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to do. And you really need to be in your power, and this is what people need to learn, and that's going to protect you much better than developing all sorts of fear thinking that will protect you. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you. Now, what I've gathered about attachment, detachment, and my own power. So, is it really important that I think I'm powerful, but well, I can lift up this and walk this. But when we talk power, I think more spiritual power. So, is it important to learn to really be, I would say, mentally or spiritually powerful to protect or to have that immunity of the soul?
Absolutely essential, if you don't meditate, you don't bring power into yourself, and that power is applied in situations which may be stressful or dangerous or problematic or challenging in some sort of a way. Life is a university, and every situation gives you an opportunity to learn life skills. And so you need to go in there with this attitude of learning. And the whole point is that you need to be able to manage your emotions, manage situations, manage if something is unfair. Don't just complain that it's unfair, deal with it. If people are unkind to you, don't just take it personally, but shore yourself up, and don't be dependent on how they should or shouldn't behave towards you. Because you see, people mostly have ideas about how to function that are really very impractical, and then they get themselves in trouble because of that. So it's very important to be really practical in social situations, in physical situations, and you need to be what they call streetwise. And just because you're a meditator doesn't mean you should keep your head in the clouds somewhere, because that's like checking out and thinking that that means you're spiritual. It doesn't mean that at all. It means that you haven't understood anything. So one needs to be grounded, you need to be in your power, you need to be aware that there will be attacks from one side or another, and the purpose of that is to give you opportunity to develop your skill in defending yourself.
Okay, so I don't know if our time is up. Usually we got another minute or two. So you said just now, you said to be grounded and in my inner power. What would be your advice now for, I said I do practice, but somehow doesn't really get that I really am. I'm telling myself, yeah, I'm in my power, but some little thing, I would just give you an example, happened with this day. I was on a traffic light and I didn't move straight away. Somebody was start hooting, probably was in a rush and angry and so on. And I start shaking, really, come in front of me, open the car, the scene that you can see. So in that moment, is it anything that in that particular moment when something is happened and I lose my awareness that I'm spiritual being, I just become driver of that car who is scared?
No, you have to instantly be with God.
Okay.
This is the practice. Instantly be with God, because God plus one is always more powerful than any crazy lunatic that's hooting his horn behind you.
Okay, so I think we will stop at that, to instantly be with God. So 1 plus 0, how much is it? It's 10. So that means that's where the power comes from. So I can remain. Okay, so Denise, YouTube channel link will be on the chat, and Denise will be with us back on Friday, that is today's 9, 10, 11, on, at the same time on this program with Sister Shelley. Thank you, Denise, for your time and for your advice, for your sharing. We very much appreciate it, and we will see you on Friday.
See you on Friday, and thank you very much, Mirko, and all of my brothers and sisters of South Africa.